What's up, my derps? It's your boy Gregolis, and on today's episode of Cast Guidance, we're going to talk about how to create the best D&D character. All right, go ahead and add a D4 to your ability check, and let's get better at D&D together. Before we begin, don't forget, roll to hit the subscribe button and add an extra attack to the notification bell so you don't miss any awesome content. Player character creation is probably where I have the most fun. The excitement of unleashing my creative genius. But sometimes it doesn't go to plan, and I have to step back and look at the table as a whole. Here are my top 5 tips for creating the best D&D character for your tabletop experience. Tip 1. Know your alignment. It's usually best to have this discussion in session 0, your pregame session with your group, but if you don't have one of those, try and talk to your table before selecting your preferred alignment, especially if you're dipping into evil. Although there's nothing wrong with playing on the evil side of things, the evil alignments tend to disrupt the group and game in general. Murder hobos equal bad. Make sure everyone at the table is aware and or comfortable with your general alignment. This will save you and your group tons of anguish in the long run. I've played in several campaigns where people have stated they're playing an evil alignment but promised they won't disrupt the group, yet every chance they got, they didn't put the group's goals first. Which leads us to tip number 2. Tip 2. Team composition. Team composition matters. Or does it? Really, it's all about communicating before jumping into a campaign. Depending on how your game is going to be run, maybe having 2, 3, or 4 barbarians might be worthwhile. At the same time, is someone going to play healer? Will the group need a healer? What's the overall strategy since no one's going to play healer? Somebody better be buying loads of potions. The point is, do you have someone to tank the damage? Have you thought about who's going to output the damage? Have you thought about who's going to heal the damage? Basically, you got to manage the damage input and output and think strategically, developing general ideas of ideal roles the group will need to accomplish the task of ruling the world. Awkward. Tip 3. Flaws. I truly feel like this should be tips 1 through 5. It's that important. Flaws are what will give your character depth within the fantasy world you're playing in, as well as within your group dynamic. The more aware you are of the things you can't do or won't do or suck at, and the more detailed you are with those negatives, the more you will have to play with from a role-playing perspective. As my forever DM Northern Shrike told me in my first campaign ever, the more flaws you have, the more fun you'll have. And we're not trying to bog down the game with world-ending flaws like,
my character hates dwarves and won't be in the same room as them.
I play a dwarf from the Vigawa on the D&D show, but rather inject some reality into the fantasy that we're playing. Things like being anxious when it comes to simple arithmetic, or being a spit talker that's kind of off-putting to others around them, or being a chain smoker with a nasty cough that may or may not make stealthing a lot more difficult. They can even be things that make your in-game life harder but totally enrich your roleplay, like being an insomniac and having a 50% chance of not being able to sleep, causing exhaustion right before combat. Flaws will only provide unique and creative experiences when sitting at the table, allowing for a dynamic and genuine character instead of a boring face value default dud. Tip 4. Backstories. Backgrounds and backstories can be anything from a couple sentences to a couple bazillion hundred pages. I love me some creative writing. Honestly, the more you think about your character's upbringing and generational history, the more you will begin to define who your character is as a person or creature. Get creative and see where it takes you. The fun part is, within the construct of the game, most of your backstory is inconsequential, but it gives you the building blocks to explore and push some really great role-playing experiences with those around you. For example, if you know you're hundreds of years old, well, why'd you end up here with this new group of young people? Or at least, why were you in the area that you started in? Obviously, you're in the tavern for a drink, but why here? Are you on your own personal quest for something? Maybe you were sent ahead to set up business connections and trade routes within this community. I don't know, being cliche is okay, but expand on it. More importantly, where you start isn't necessarily where you have to end. Taking everything we learned so far, don't be afraid to make changes within your campaign. If you're not happy with your character's alignment, for example, talk to your GM or your group and begin making changes within the game. Use your roleplay to change the outcome of your alignment. For example, if your character would normally steal everything they see, which happens a lot in this game, maybe next time there's an opportunity to steal something, don't steal something. Go and talk to one of your fellow adventurers and tell them, I was thinking about stealing that brooch over yonder, but alas, I'm trying to be a better me. Take one step in the new direction and see how it plays out. This game is malleable, which leads us into tip number 5. Tip 5, prepare to die. Don't hold on so tight to your character that you're not going to be okay if they die. Live and die by the dice, literally. The best part of this game is that it's seemingly random. Don't look behind the curtain. First-time players have a tendency to create characters near and dear to their heart and hold so tight they never let them go. Letting go is okay. What's it mean for you as a person at the table? Well, you get to create a new character. You get to explore something brand new. You're not kicked out of the game. It's not done for you. You keep going. And that's the joy of Dungeons & Dragons. It's in pushing your limits and experiencing new things. For me, my first character was named Gregulus. He was a dwarf, and it's pretty much Griorn, isn't it? Aha! He's still my favorite. But since I started the game, I've played in countless campaigns with new classes, new races, and new experiences. I found utter joy in playing polar opposites like female characters or letting my dice decide my race and class and spells and everything else. It pushed me out of my comfort zone to find what I really enjoy and honestly what I didn't enjoy. Either way, it's important not to hold so tight that you can't let go when your character inevitably kicks the bucket. No more death saves. It's time to pull out the old pencil and begin jotting down awesome character names like Grubbert or Gronk or Granky or I'm still holding on, aren't I? Well, I hope you enjoyed my tips on how to create the best D&D character. What did I miss? What can we add to this conversation? Comment below so we can make a part 2 and all get better together. Don't forget, D&D isn't a game you win. Let's cast guidance on each of our tables to enhance each other's experiences. Thanks, Derps. See you next week with more from me, your boy Gregulus. Hey Derps, thanks for watching. We're trying really hard to build this channel up, so if you could give us a subscribe, that would be really helpful and super appreciated. This community matters to us, and we want to hear your voice. Let us know what you liked or didn't like or have suggestions in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check me out playing D&D on the D&D show every other Sunday. The link should be somewhere over here, or here, or here. Thanks.